So when you get that, and you know that you have the power to focus, to deliberately achieve a vibration, we think that as we say things to you like this, that this is what makes you worry. This is what makes you worry, that there is something that you must avoid. And we're wanting you to understand that there's no such thing as avoiding anything. You cannot avoid. There is no such thing as exclusion in this vibrational universe. Everything is inclusion. When you look at this thing you want, you include it in your vibration. When you look at this thing you don't want, you include it in your vibration. So there's a war against drugs, and a war against poverty, and a war against terrorism, and a war against cancer, and a war against war. And all of those things are becoming more and more activated. And as they're more activated in your vibration, then you're marching toward them. And so then you announce to the world, see, I told you this was something that we needed to worry about. And we say, no, it isn't something that you need to worry about, but it is one of the things from this well-stocked kitchen that you might give your attention to. This is like a well-stocked kitchen with every ingredient imaginable. And you say, I'm going to create a wonderful apple pie. And we say, that will be nice. And then you say, oh, but I saw Tabasco sauce in the kitchen. And we say, don't put it in your pie. And you say, but what if it gets in my pie? And we say, it won't get in your pie unless you put it in your pie. And you say, but it's in the kitchen. It could get in my pie. And we say, it won't get in your pie unless you put it in your pie. You're the only one who couldn't put anything in your pie. And you say, but I would feel ever so much better if it was just out of the kitchen. Everything that I don't want in my pie, I want out of the kitchen. And especially that, because I especially don't want that in my pie. And we say, don't put it in your pie. And you say, but others have got it in their pie. And I'm sure they didn't want it in their pie either. And we say, just don't put it in your pie. And you say, but it's in their pie. If it got in their pie and they didn't want it in their pie, then couldn't it get in my pie? It's in my pie. It's in my pie. It's in my pie. And we say, you put it in your pie. And you say, I would not put something that I don't want in my pie. And we say, it's else put it in your pie. You put it in your pie. And then our friends worry about their thoughts. Cancel, cancel, they say. They try to suck them back before the universe gets hold of them. And we say, fortunately, wherever you are is where you are, and from wherever you are, Source knows where you want to be in relations to where you are and is calling you forward so you can get to wherever you want to be from wherever you are. But here's the part, the second part that we think is tripping so many of you up. You cannot jump from here to over here any more than you can set your radio dial on 630 and hear what's being broadcast on 98.7. You've got to be in the vibrational vicinity. So that's why we're recommending that you just reach for the best feeling thought you can find, and revenge is an improvement, and we would give you an A if you made it there. In other words, congratulations, you have improved your vibrational relationship, and now just keep reaching and just keep reaching. So you can move from despair into revenge, and you can move from revenge into rage, and rage into anger, and from anger you can easily get into frustration and overwhelmment. And before you know it, once you get into frustration and overwhelmment, in fact, most of you who we interact with, that's your low point usually. That's your low average. You could dip, but you usually don't much. And then once you reach it all the way into frustration or overwhelmment, you can easily move into pessimism and hopefulness and optimism and believing and knowing and back into alignment with who you really are. Many of the processes that we offer will move you quickly from frustration on up. But if you are in despair, many of those processes are far too lightweight. And don't you just hate it when some bright-eyed, bushy-tailed student of Abraham comes to you, you're all depressed and feeling terrible, and they're all shiny and bright, and they announce to you, you know, you need to cheer up. You create your own reality, you know. And you want to say that can't be true or you'd be dead. Because you can't relate. When you're feeling like this and somebody's feeling like this, you don't want to hear it. You can't hear it, in fact. And so the thing that we want you to hear is that your source will always be calling you toward who you really are. And as you listen to the call, it will always feel like an improved vibration. But what you've got to point out to yourself is that rage does feel better than that despair that you were feeling before. And you've got to pat yourself on the back, because you know what just happened? You quantified your journey. You now will no longer be lost out there in the desert, because you know firsthand that you're moving in the right direction. And as you keep reaching, you can feel that you're improving. And we want to say to you, there is no end to the improvement. You'll get feeling so good. There is no end to the contrast that keeps making us feel better and better and better and better and better and better. We are eager to talk with you about anything that is important to you. Nothing is off limits. You will notice a nice unfolding, as someone before you may very well lay a nice basis for what you want to talk about. This is the last of the small gatherings, you know, and it is an opportunity for you to relax and really experience an exercise of co-creating, where you relax and allow yourself to be inspired to the next logical question that will take us all to the next logical step. We truly see this as co-creating at its best. Don't be shy about what you want to talk about. The more detailed you are, the more it lets everyone else in on why you're offering the vibration in the way that you are. And we see our work of helping you to move in the direction of what you're wanting. It's a sort of forking process. In other words, in every moment you're standing where you're standing, and you can lean a little more positively, or you can lean a little more negatively. And if you're in a very good feeling place, you can't lean all the way into a strong negative creation. And if you're in a strong negative place, you can't lean quickly into a positive place. In other words, these manifestations are not going to come instantly. You have tremendous amount of leeway from where you are. And if you will just make a decision that from where you are, you're going to do your best to fork in the direction that feels better to you. So we see you. You'll be living some incident, and you'll want to talk about it. And as you talk about it, you'll fork off in the direction more of what is not wanted. But then as you get hold of yourself and you realize what you're doing, and that if you keep going, eventually it's going to manifest, and you're not going to like it when it does. So you catch yourself and you make an effort to lean the other way, but it's hard because the momentum was already going that way. But you make an effort, and you don't quite make it, and you go that way. But now you're more determined that you're going to fork in the other direction. So you make an effort and you do. And then you make an effort and you do. And then you fork that way. And then you make an effort and you improve your direction. And then you make an effort and you improve your direction. And then you make an effort and you improve your direction. And then that person calls. And then you make an effort and you improve. And then you make an effort and you improve. And then you make an effort and you improve. But at the end of a 2 or 3 minute deliberate effort, you're over here instead of over here. In other words, you've done a wonderful job of shifting your vibration. As we watch you, we see you encounter on average about 2,000 negative episodes in a day. That's all right. You're synthesizing the data. This is how you're becoming who you are. In other words, you're living in the world. You're seeing things happen. You're having exposure to experience, and your preferences are being born. And of those 2,000 on average negative emotions that you're feeling, they're really pointing back at just a handful of things. So can you imagine if whenever you find yourself consciously aware of negative emotion, that you make an effort to fork a little and to fork a little? Can you imagine how much difference you could make, vibrationally speaking, in your personal vibration in just one day of sort of kind of maybe paying attention to the way you feel and making an effort to fork in a more positive direction? Your leverage is huge once you care. If you care about how you feel. So we were visiting with a woman one day who justified her negative emotion by pointing out how much pain she had in her body. And we said, we know it's hard. Once manifestation has occurred, it's harder to fork. In other words, sometimes people say, Abraham, I've jumped out of an airplane. I'm at 40,000 feet. I have no parachute. What should I do? And we say, hang on, it will be over soon. Because sometimes you're right on the edge of that manifestation. But sooner or later, you'll hit the ground and you'll be in a new place. Badly broken sometimes, but still, from no matter where you are, you have the opportunity to begin the forking process again. And if you will take advantage of this knowledge that you now hold, it won't be 30 days before you've improved your vibration so much that things that you've been waiting for, it seems like for years, will begin seeping steadily into your experience, because with this forking process, you will have improved your vibrational countenance. So I said to this friend, So here's where you are. Your body hurts, and that's not going to change this red hot minute. It's not going to change all at once. But can you feel the difference between this action journey that you're living with a body that is painful, and having that action journey going on and feeling fearful, or having that action journey going on and feeling hopeful? We said, can you separate the emotion from the physical discomfort? Well, at first she didn't think she could. But as we prodded a little, we said, can't you be in pain and hopeful? Or does being in pain always have to feel like fear? And she said, well, I guess I could be hopeful. I guess I can. And we said, well, if you can, then you can get to wellness, because the difference, the vibrational difference between the vibration of fear and the vibration of hope is the difference between recovery or not. When you're hopeful, you're marching toward a body that feels better. When you're fearful, you're marching toward a body that does not feel so good. It's interesting to watch the medical community so set on terrorizing you about your bodies. And the reason they do is because they've discovered, and they're well-meaning in most cases, everyone is in business, they want the business, but they've discovered that if they can make you afraid of your body, you will go to them to take care. In other words, it's a classic thing, isn't it? If we can frighten you enough, then you'll come to us for the comfort. And we say there's only one place for you to find your comfort, and that is by being in alignment with source, and nobody outside of you can provide that for you. And so when you get it, that it's all about vibration, and you start tending to your vibration, then you will be among those rare ones at this point who now understand that there is nothing that you cannot be or do or have. Nothing is off limits for you. There is nothing that you cannot achieve. And this time-space reality, if it has the capacity to cause you to give birth to the desire, it is our promise to you that this time-space reality has the capacity to give you the full-blown manifestation of it. And source is there and in every particle of that. Sometimes people complain, well, this spiritual stuff, which is who I really am, seems different from material stuff, Abraham. You really can't be all that spiritual if you are guiding us toward fortune, if you're guiding us toward new red cars. And we say everything that is manifested is an extension of that which you call source, and at its basis is all that is good, and nothing will ever feel bad to you other than you're separating yourself from your source, and you are the only one who can do that. Nobody else can. Oh, they can influence you. They can misbehave, and when they misbehave and you watch them, you won't feel so good. And then if you're like most humans, you'll say, you need to behave differently, because when I see that behavior, I feel bad and I want to feel good, so you need to change your behavior. And we say, good luck on that one. If your happiness depends upon what somebody else does, you're in deep doo-doo, because they are selfishly wired too. When you understand that your happiness depends only upon your coming into alignment with your ever-evolving being, now you've got it.